Good evening. You're joining the Cheese Room live across the world. Welcome to the show. I am joined by some absolutely illustrious guests this evening. As ever, I'm joined by Shannon. How are you, Shan? Cheese Room Shan. Is it Weatherspoons or TGI Fridays today?
Neither.
What was a delay then for a minute? Christ.
Neither. It was a quick. I was contemplating the question. It was a quick dash to Spa to get something quick because I just couldn't be asked. I've honestly had too much drama today to bother cooking for just myself. So I went to Spa, got some crap, and have basically just snacked since. So that was my dinner.
Well, what's your snack of choice?
Oh, I've got loads. I got some I got some mince pies.
Yeah, good. That's early, but yeah, we'll let you off.
I got some honeycomb chocolate finger cakes.
Interesting choice.
I got some skips.
And these are available from Spa.
Yes.
They're not paying us, so we're not mentioning their name again. Also, it's the Cheese Room's very own gridiron expert, HG. How are you, sir? How is Austria treating you?
Am I the gridiron expert because I know how to say gridiron? Is that the deal?
Yeah, that's a shot. Gridiron game.
No, life in Austria is fine. I'm counting down the days until my mother comes to visit. So I might get my mum on the show in a couple of weeks. That'd be fun. Life's good.
Good. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you here in the Cheese Room. Also joining me, everyone's favourite haircut, internet memes, celebrity, and I understand freedom has reached Australia, Davo, which doesn't explain why you haven't had a haircut. But did you celebrate any wonderful way?
Yeah, it's Freedom Day in New South Wales yesterday. So that, only in Australia would you have Freedom Day on a Monday, not a Saturday. So I went a bit crazy yesterday. I bought a baguette and cleaned my bathroom.
Wow!
And then and tonight,
but not with the baguette, Dave.
Yeah.
No. Tonight I can exclusively reveal that I will be getting a haircut. But my boss said to me yesterday, we had a Teams call. He's in London. He said my hair looks like Paul Weller, so I'm very happy with that. But it's going tonight.
I mean, I would say more like Wurzel Gummidge, if I'm being really honest. But
that's a reference for the kids.
Yeah. I don't know, Mr. Tumble. There you go. And also, we're joined this evening by Cookie, a man who runs quicker than Prince Andrew away from a US court. How are you this evening, sir? Won any marathons lately?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I run every day this week again. So like 10, 12s, 15K, something like that, just to keep me ticking over. I enjoy it. It keeps my body fit and keeps my mind good. So yeah, it's all good for me.
And we enjoy having you on the show, much like we wouldn't enjoy Prince Andrew, just to context that last joke.
That's good.
Yeah. And any comparisons you and Prince Andrew are done there. We're not going to go into anything else.
Thank God for that. Yeah,
let me reassure you. So packed show for you tonight. Do let us know if you're watching, where you're watching from in the comments. Do chuck in a few super chats if you want your comment to go around the room this evening. And we will cover topics such as the NFL, the protests, the boxing, Tyson Fury, what a man, and Newcastle coming up and their takeover. So please do get involved throughout the show. Chuck your comments in there. We'll get to as many as we can during the next hour and a half or so. So anything from the internationals that sticks out? HG, let's come to you first. Hugo has won another trophy. He's the man, isn't he?
As far
you're breaking up a bit. You're breaking up a little bit. Try again.
I don't know if people really count the Nations League as being something amazing. Maybe they do. But yeah, I guess France won. I didn't watch it, so I don't know why you're asking me. I don't really care about the Nations League, if I'm honest. So go to some.
Okay. Did anyone watch the Nations League? Cookie, you watched any of that?
I caught a little bit yesterday in between other stuff. I see Benzema's goal, which was a great finish, to be fair. That's about it. I saw obviously the trophy lift, so I was happy for Hugo to lift another trophy, although it weren't with us. But to win the whole set, I think he's probably the only good thing about the Nations League. It becomes a set of trophies, which is with the World Cup and the Euro. So they're the first team and one of our first and only player that's done that. So hats off to Hugo for another trophy, and hopefully he can do it with Tottenham before he packs it in.
Christ, yeah, it'd be 45 by the time he lifts the trophy with Tottenham.
It's nice to see him win. It's just nice to see him win and lift something, you know.
Dave-O, did you see any of it in Australia? Catch any of it?
No, not a thing, but very pleased for Hugo. You know, I think that he's Tottenham through and through, so delighted for him. Well,
we've got royalty in the comment tonight. Matt Hayes is here. Good evening, Matt. Need to get you back on the show soon. And Stuart Such says Nations League is about as important as the Europa Conference. Would you agree with that, Dave? You're a man of many words.
I don't agree with you, Stuart, but I respect your opinion.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Because the Nations League is, you know, there's much more. There's top European countries playing in it, whereas in the Europa Conference, I don't even know where half these teams, what countries they're from. There's your answer.
What countries they're from?
I will say, look, the Nations League is clearly a good idea, right? I mean, none of us miss friendlies. None of us, love those games that absolutely mean nothing and that play, where you play players that nobody cares about playing. So the Nations League is decent. It's just, it feels so long ago since we played them that the finals were 6 months, a year after? I don't even remember. That bit that gets me. They've had the finals this week, and why not? I know they were given their own days to play them, but it hasn't really worked. The first time around seemed to work better because the finals were in the summer. Not because England were in them, but just like it felt like more of a deal. This one just feels like, I remember looking at the fixtures going, why are Italy playing Spain? They're not in the same group. Like, I had no idea. That's the thing.
Absolutely delighted. Hugo Lloris has lifted 2 trophies for France and Sweet Funny Adams for Spurs. Way to go, Hugo. This is an interesting one. Shan, I'm going to come to you now. Firstly, in terms of the Spurs watch, any players reporting back from international duty injured, do you know?
Not that I know of, but there's still another round of internationals to go before they come back. So anything could happen with Spurs, and obviously we're already the South American contingent down for our first game at the Beheaders.
Yeah.
So
what is going on with that? And apparently Lo Celso, two assists, wasn't it? Was it last night before? 2 assists again for Argentina.
2 assists and 9 chances created.
Wow.
He outplayed Messi.
Whoa.
Stats, he outplayed Messi. He was rated a 9.2 based on his stats and his input.
Stats.
And
Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments why you think Lo Celso produces for Argentina but doesn't seem to produce for Spurs. Is it because he's surrounded by better players than Harry Winks Cookie, potentially?
He's being played in the wrong position.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that. And obviously the system must fit better at Argentina for him than it does at Tottenham. There must be something they know about him that we don't, and how to play him. But you're right, it's got to be the quality of the players as well. That must be a factor as well in the midfield. But he just seems to turn it on, doesn't he? And last night it was no surprise to me because that's what he does for his country, I'm not sure how long he played for. Did he get a whole game? Did he come off?
90 minutes.
Yeah. He played a full game as well. There you go. So there you go. It must be just something we don't know about at Tottenham that he's doing right at Argentina, to be honest.
It's good news when it ups his price when we sell him.
I mean, Dave, come on. You like Lo Celso, really, don't you?
We've got to play him, don't you?
I'm over him. I'd said it. This is the season to Ndombele. I tell it. Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele, over a staggered period of time, get rid of all of them, get some others in. It's just, he's not doing it. It's not consistent. And, he looks great in the Argentina shirt. He's surrounded by better players. That's great. We paid a lot of money for him. Can you go and show it for us, please?
I just want to shout this one out. We play him out of position. I'm going to come back to you, Shan. You called this out. You should be the caller. We do, don't we? Well, was he last seen at right wing or something?
Yeah, we keep playing him at right wing. Jose did it as well. It's not just Nuno. He is best on the left of a midfield 3. or in a slightly more advanced role. We're playing in the complete wrong position. We're playing Dele, who is useless as part of a midfield three, over Lo Celso, who is brilliant on the left of a midfield three. We're just not making the most of the tools that we've got, which is the biggest. This is the biggest reason why I have concern about Nuno. We have got a lot of good tools. We've got good players, good individual players, but it's about getting them to play as a team. It's about getting them to give us a good performance together as 11 people on the pitch. So yeah, he needs to be played in his best position to get the best out of him. It's not rocket science, if you're watching, like and subscribe.
And it says on here he was in a 4-2-3-1, just on the left side of Messi. So on the left side of a free and behind the front man, just next to Messi, obviously, and that says a lot. But yeah, he's in a 4-2-3-1, which we should be playing at Tottenham, to be honest, and he should be in that position.
Put him in the 10, give him license to roam, either on the left of a midfield or a bit further up the pitch. But we're at the minute playing him on the right ring, and he hasn't got the pace, and he hasn't got the ability to play there. He's not Sonny, so play him where he's best.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Silent Dove, a channel member. If you want to get your channel membership, the link is at the top of the page. Welcome. Silent Dove. Lo Celso, their system suits him better. He's been played out of position. I agree with Dave. His time is up. I think that's a bit harsh. Mark says GLC is an old case. He seems happy in London. Romario said he's selling the club and the way of life to him, and yet we can't get the best out of him. Well, there's lots of nice restaurants in London, isn't there? Just ask Tongi and Dembele. HG, what do you think about GLC if you're back with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, all right. What do I think of GLC? I like him. I don't really know where the hate comes from, if I'm honest. But yeah, I like Lo Celso. He's obviously been injured a lot. None of that's his fault. When he plays, he seems to play well. It depends what people are expecting. I think Lo Celso is always punished for the fact that we chose him over Bruno Fernandes. That's nothing to do with Lo Celso whatsoever. Obviously, I personally believe that Pochettino wanted both of them, if I'm honest. But for some reason, Spurs fans think that Lo Celso was chosen over Fernandes, and it's going to work against him always. So I like Lo Celso as a player. Like, if you watch him play for Argentina, you wonder why he can't do it for Spurs. But how many league games has he started for Spurs this season? Can anyone tell me? I think it's only one.
One, I think. Yeah.
It was the Chelsea game, and he was dragged off after an hour because they scored from a free kick and a deflection. It's from a corner, sorry, but it's not really down to Lo Celso at all. So I think people are being massively harsh because, but that's what fans do. Fans are massively harsh generally.
I'd rather keep Lo Celso ahead of Ndombele. I think Ndombele has had chance to prove himself, whereas I don't think Lo Celso has had a fair crack at the whip. He's not played consistently. He needs a run of games with players around him who he's going to be playing with week in, week out, and he hasn't had that chance at Spurs for whatever reason.
I mean, that's right. You talk about Ndombele. Ndombele started 31 league games last season. I mean, that's a fair chunk of games. And yeah, he was played with a couple of defenders, a couple of defensive midfielders behind him. Lo Celso hasn't had that opportunity because he's been injured. So it's tough to give players that opportunity. But I think for people to write Lo Celso off right now, well, no. I think he showed enough in his first season when he was fit. He's better than a lot of the midfielders we've got, and he is probably the best all-round midfielder because he puts tackles in, he puts a shift in, he can pass, he can create, he can score. He just hasn't done it in the Premier League really, but I still think it's there.
I think you're all talking about Lo Celso in a way of some imaginary person, great player, things like that. He's been with us 2 and a bit years. He's played in
injured.
Hang on a second. He's played in a deep line. Hang on. He's played in a deep line. Has he been injured? He's been playing in a deep line midfield role. He's played as a right. He's played everywhere. He's been given a go. Even if you've got a player who plays out of position, but you see that they show enough, but they know they're playing out of position, then you go, oh, okay, well, they're trying hard or they're showing the quality. Yeah, he shows flashes, just like Ndombele shows flashes. But as I said, with those two and Ali, over a staggered period of time, get rid and get other people in.
It's Delhi, by the way. He doesn't like Ali. But what I don't like is there's 60 people watching and only 23 likes. So please hit the like button, people, if you're watching tonight and you're watching at home. If you've got something to say about Lo Celso, check it in the chat. Here's a question from Mr. Icebreaker. I think I know who that is. Here's the real question. Is it Lo Celso or Lo Celso? HG, a linguistic expert. Which is it?
I actually do think it is Lo Celso. Like Tim Vickery says Lo Celso, which is probably enough for me. But I'm so used to saying Lo Celso that I don't really want to switch, if I'm honest. So there's my answer.
Yeah, I like Lo Celso as well. So there you go. It is Lo Celso. What was I going to say next? I was going to say, Dave-O, Gil got a runners-up medal for Spain. What do we think about that young floppy head man, a bit like yourself? Apart from the young...
Gil, it's pronounced Gil, like you have an H. I was told by a Spanish friend of mine
That's
recently.
what I just said. Gil.
Not Gil, Gil. Look, again, with him, the interesting thing about him, I mean, if you were cynical and not nice, you could say getting a runners-up medal is good practice for him for his Tottenham career. But we're not like that here on the Cheese Room. I would say that he, the thing about Gil is that he said it himself, that he plays on the left wing and he's someone who likes to hug the touchline, which I know that HG disagrees with me on that. The question for him is how the best we're going to get out of him.
I don't, but okay.
No, you said it on a comment somewhere. How are we going to get the best out of him in the system? Because we don't play really touchline hugging wingers, and maybe he's being groomed to be our number 10, which I'm not quite sure about. But it's early days for him. He shows stuff that is different to other players in the squad, which is important that we need to have.
HG,
I just want to defend HG there because he's also said that Hill plays as a wing hugging, left-sided wing hugging, touchline hugging winger.
Yeah. But, while you were asking me about, I'm going to go back to Lo Celso because it annoys me that people were rating it, deciding that he's not good enough. In his entire Tottenham career, he started fewer league games than Ndombele did last season. Right. So to say he's had a run of games, it just isn't true. Just isn't true. He started 11 games last season because of injury. The season before, let me just check it. I'll get it up here. Boom, boom, boom. He started 15 the season before because he was injured for most of that. It's Lo Celso has shown enough, as far as I'm concerned, that he should be like if he's back in time. If he wasn't flying from halfway around the world, I would be starting him against Newcastle on Sunday. Because he is probably the best person. It's crazy. Like we're sitting here going, we've got Skip, we've got Højbjerg, we need a third one who plays on the left. And we were using Delhi there, but that's not really Delhi's game. And then Ndombele's suddenly back in the fold, and Ndombele gets a few games, and he's done okay. And suddenly it's like, well, hello, like we actually have a left-footed central midfield player who likes to play there, who can play there. It's set up for him. If he comes into the team and plays 4 or 5 games and is rubbish, then fair enough. But I still think that he hasn't really had the opportunity. As for Bryan, since we're going to go on their names on the back of their shirts, he's a left winger. He's a left winger. He should stand on the left side. Son can go on the right. That's fine with me. Right? If we had Bryan, Son, and Kane as the front three, that's fine. I don't want to see Bryan cutting in. I don't want to see narrow wingers. I'd like to see people kind of hugging the touchline, which is what Bryan does, as Dave said.
To be fair, Gelson, his first season was probably our best player aside from Kane, and Son dropped off in his second season. I'd agree with that. He was good, wasn't he? He was good. It was just he just hasn't, I suppose, got any momentum. He's never had the run of games to get momentum. I think that's how I feel about Lo Celso. There we go. Sam Lee says, I don't know what makes people think Bryan is an out-and-out touchline winger. Besides, old school wingers don't exist much these days.
Because he played there for Eibar last season, Sam. That's why.
And he said in a press conference he plays on the left wing.
Well, I suppose that would be a giveaway then, wouldn't it, really?
I would say so. From there, I concluded he plays on the left wing. Because I had this feeling.
Well, he did say he is happy to play across the front, like the front three or the third slot, the middle slot behind the striker, but he prefers to play on the left wing. If we're going to
It sounds like Brian's visited all our houses during the week and told us where he likes to play.
It's not visiting mine. I'll tell you that for nothing.
What, you don't want strange men visiting your partner during the week? Yeah, that would be bad.
Not with floppy hair, certainly. Otherwise, that would mean Dave O's around for tea.
I love his hair. His hair's grown on me. I think it's cool.
Who are you talking about, Brian or Dave?
Definitely not Dave. Brian.
Because that's where I thought you'd go with it, if I'm perfectly honest, Chan.
So did I. I was amazed.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in the next breath. Cookie, England versus Andorra. Learn anything from that game?
Not really. I watched most of it. Glad Harry Kane didn't play, to be honest. I'm glad he was rested, although some people said he was dropped, but I can't see him being dropped for Tammy Abraham, to be honest. So I'm glad he's only playing against Hungary, which I think we discussed this on one of the shows last week, saying that Kane is probably better playing one of the two games. So I'm glad that happened. A plastic pitch, a team ranked 134th in the world, bringing on a 41-year-old defender in the first half. I think it says everything about the game, to be honest. Straightforward win. Foden was good. I thought Sancho was good. That's the best I've seen Sancho play in a long time. And obviously Jack Grealish getting off the mark for England was good to see as well from an England point of view. And 19 points from 7 games and well on our way to the World Cup. That's about it, to be honest.
Can I ask someone, what was the score? I've no idea.
5-0.
5-0. All right.
Did you not have that in your accumulator, HG, or your league? You guessed the score thing that.
I remember I had Poland winning 9-0 as a bit of a joke, but I don't even know what that score was either. Qualifiers are mostly dead to me. Like, as an England fan, like, you're going to qualify pretty much, so I don't really watch them. And then Austria have done terribly, so like I'm more interested in Austria, if I'm honest, than I am in England when it comes to the qualifiers.
There's not much jeopardy, is there? Speaking of jeopardy, 65 people watching, 30 likes. The maths doesn't add up, so please do hit that like button as much as you can. Smash it, burn it, blow it into space. Let's talk NFL, talking of which, and people losing their minds over the state of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the weekend. I thought it looked absolutely fantastic. My first question, HG, I'm not following your run sheet, Dave. How big were the woman's balls who was singing the national anthem from the Skywalk?
Pretty large. Yeah. That was something else. Like, I don't go in for the whole national anthem business. I got annoyed when they sang the British national anthem before that one. And then I watched it and I was like, I can't believe she's doing that. I can't believe anyone's doing that. It was impressive. Like, it's funny. I mean, I don't know if she's still famous in the UK, but Davina McCall. I hated her. I hated Davina McCall when I lived in the UK.
I love Davina McCall.
Why?
And then
that says all about your personality.
No, wait. Let me finish. And then there was some show that she was on, and it was kind of like You Bet, but on steroids, right? And these people came on and said, I can go and do something, whatever it was. And if they didn't do it, then she had to do the task that they were asked to do. And this one guy was given the task to bungee jump out of a helicopter over the Grand Canyon. Oof. Which just was like, what? And she did it. And from that day on, I was like, Davina McCall was all right. I don't care anymore. Like, whatever reason I had for hating her beforehand, probably Big Brother, because that was a pile of shit. And since then, and so whoever that lady was who sang at the NFL yesterday, follow your career, because that took some guts to really go up there and do that. The thing is, if I ever do the Skywalk tour now, I'm going to want to sing the American national anthem when I'm at the top. There you go.
They do let you belt out a few words at the top of that to demonstrate the acoustic sustainment. I've done it, and I've got to be honest, I wouldn't let go of the damn pole that I was next to. So for her to sing the whole national anthem,
you were stood next to a guy called Pavel. What? I'm confused.
You need Pavel out of this. He's a great guy. Just amazing, and what a show they put on. HG, did you watch the game at all? Were you pleased with what you saw, or do you think it was a spectacle? Do you think, what were your thoughts on the game?
Look, I like the NFL. The game itself was okay, kind of. And so I think I saw someone describe it as Norwich versus Burnley, which is pretty accurate. Neither side is particularly good, but It's an NFL game at Spurs. And all these people talking about how the Spurs branding's not there. Well, clearly the
she's
ladies
singing with a giant cock behind
exactly.
her.
Exactly.
Literally.
Everyone knows it's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They have to say it. They do say it. Yes, Americans might go the Tottenham Hotspurs Stadium.
No, they said the Hattadi Stadium.
Yeah, whatever it is. But the point is, it's clearly at Spurs. It's clearly good for the area, which is what we want. I mean, none of us are from Tottenham, but we all want to see and Cookie's close, right? But none of us are like, I don't know, like I'm not a local to the area. My family are historically, but like you want to see things happen in that stadium. Why would we want it there only used 22 times a year? Makes no sense. We have no idea if the revenue is going to be used on the football side of things. We don't know that yet. We can sit there and maybe think, well, there's no evidence it will, but there's also no evidence it won't. Like usually, what the revenue comes in is what we spend out, whether it's on the stadium or on players. It does get used. So I'm pretty happy that the NFL's there, and there's another game this week, which is great, absolutely great. Like over the international breaks, why not? Send another 2 next season and play those games in November. Why not? If the international games are on and the stadium's not being used, then it should be used for other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Shan, do you like American football, or is it just a bit girly rugby for you?
If I'm honest, I've not really watched too much of it, but HG did tell me that if I had a team, it would be the Miami Dolphins.
What does that mean?
Based on the questions that he asked, he gave me my own NFL team to support, and I was like, well, I like teams that are like a bit of an underdog, And my favorite mammal are dolphins. So there you go, Miami Dolphins. And the only place I've been to in America is Florida. And
this is it. And they're playing at Spurs next week. The Miami Dolphins are playing there. So you'd have a reason to go if you wanted to. I mean, it's just little things like that. Like, why not be exposed to it? I went to an NFL game or a preseason game in the late 80s at the old Wembley, and I love that. And I've loved the sport ever since. So it's going to bring people in, and it will bring revenue, lots of revenue to the club.
Shannon in the end zone. Yeah, all of that. Love it. You have no idea what I'm talking about, Shannon.
It's just a bit too Americanized for me. I know it's
American football.
But I don't know.
That's getting clipped.
That's
definitely getting clipped. 27 minutes. Make a note of that.
I just can't watch too much American live TV, especially when they're being really over the top, because it gets on my nerves.
It's so American. How dare they?
It's so American. I don't know if it's because my nan absolutely hates Americans or what, but I don't mind Americans. Like, I like going there, but yeah, I can't. I remember when I was 7 and I went to Florida and I got into a lift in the hotel and this American lady went, "Oh my God, are you from the UK?" And ever since then, I'm like, "Oh, you're tragic." But yeah.
Welsh.
It's like, where else am I going to be from with this accent? It's a bit obvious.
Yeah. Well, I'm friends again. You can down the apples and pears or take the lift. Yeah. Dave-O, you've written this in the run sheet, so I'm assuming you want me to ask you this. Have you got any NFL memories?
Yeah, I just want to, just for all our American cheeseheads, I'd just like to say good morning, good evening to all of you. And
like I say, nothing against America. It's just the really, really over the top ones. It's like over the top English people really get on my nerves.
Can I just say, Americans are enthusiastic about life. That's the issue British people have with them. We live on this fucking rainy island, can't get off it, and the Americans are just so happy because they see the sun every day and everything's,
Not all of them, Caller.
No, not all of them, but a lot of them do.
I think the victims of Hurricane Katrina would disagree with you.
I bet you they're happier than most people in Tottenham on a rainy day. I tell you now. Anyway. I do digress. Dave, back to you. The mic is yours. Please tell us your incredibly humorous NFL story.
I don't have one. But I just on the Davina McCall poll at the moment, it's 1-1, 4 and against. So we'll see how we get to at the end of the show.
I don't know how you could not like Davina McCall. If you've ever seen any of her fitness videos, she's an athlete.
There's so many things.
So I now have an image of Paula in his
Davina
leggings.
McCall is not available for extracurricular activities.
I've never seen a fitness video. I'm joking. Come on.
Anyway, I'm pro McCall. I saw her in MTV 1996 whilst I was having a summer of doing the square root of fuck all, and she was very good. So I'm 2-1 McCall.
From like this year, then, Dave. Really?
And last year. So basically, I saw the LA Raiders versus the Indianapolis Colts, 1991 in LA. It was a hot day, took bloody hours, got a nice tan, and that's about all I got to say about American football.
Okay, well, that anecdote was absolutely worthy of the run sheet. Thanks for putting it in.
Pleasure.
Cookie, will the NFL get a franchise at the stadium? That's clearly the purpose of the purpose-built pitch. And all the paraphernalia surrounding it. Do you think that that is the case?
I mean, I think it'd be good for everyone if they could pull it off. I think it's going to take time for that to happen. To factor in the logistics of teams coming over and playing, traveling, the jet lag, and then traveling back to play again in their own country. I think it's going to be very difficult to pull it off. It's obviously something that Daniel Levy wants to look to in the future. Like you said, building the stadium. I think Tottenham have done all they can really in terms of trying to make it happen. It's up to the NFL now to sort of push that through and use Tottenham as a venue. I think it's the only venue really in this country that can do it as a franchise. Not even Wembley can say that. So I think it'd be great for everyone involved to get 60,000 fans doing that. You know, getting the NFL over here and the spotlight on Spurs, and obviously joining more fans for the NFL. It works for everyone. I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But I was at the 2019 games 2 years ago when they done the first two. And the Americans absolutely loved the Tottenham Stadium. They couldn't believe it. They were talking to me through the game, and you know I was trying to keep up with the rules. I only know the rules from playing Madden on the PlayStation, to be honest. I just know the basics. I think Tampa Bay is my team. I think, to be honest, when I watched them play, so I think Tampa Bay is my team. HG, I don't know if they're any good.
They're the reigning champions, Cookie. They're the reigning champions.
Pretty good,
I'm a trophy hunter, but they loved it. And they couldn't believe
clearly not. You support Spurs, Cookie.
It's nice to be a trophy hunter for once. But yeah, honestly, the Americans, they loved the stadium. They said they felt at home. They said it's better than some of them even said it's better than watching it in their own stadium. So for that, that's, compliments to Tottenham for building a venue worthy of those comments.
I don't know if it's true. The price of beer went up to £6.90 again.
Yeah, it went to like an American menu. So yeah, it was.
Wow.
The food and that was unbelievable that day. Yeah, when I went to the
really?
game. So yeah, they had like the big hot dogs, massive like different burgers, everything. Different drinks. I think they sold out of alcohol in record time as well.
They did last time. Yeah. Apparently, this is one
crazy.
of the reasons. This is one of the reasons why I thought it might be a bit stupid to do the Tottenham Hotspur protests, which we're coming on to in a minute, because when they come out and they're absolutely shit-faced, most of these American football fans, they'll leather you. They're all units, man. They
spent so much money. It's unbelievable. I just kept hearing how much money they're spending on the match day. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Bolton's in the comments. I've seen him. He's very vocal, so I'm going to read one out. The NFL needs a global presence. It sees the reach of the EPL and knows it has to follow the same path. Shame that most games are more than 3 hours long. That's my big issue with it. It's boring, isn't it? Yeah. There's so many breaks. HD's disagreeing with me.
I can understand why people think it's boring, because it's like a 2020 cricket match, 3 hours long. And for some people, you bowl the ball, you walk 15. No, but it is, because you bowl the ball, then you walk 15 seconds back, and you bowl another one. It's not much different from the NFL. But yeah, I don't think it's boring. I mean, you do have to know more about the rules. It's not an easy game to learn. My wife is American, and I had to teach her the rules. Right, so I get that, it's not the easiest thing to pick up. She used to go to the games when she was at high school, and she was a cheerleader, but she didn't really know what was going on. It was just, part of that thing. I just feel as if, it's a game that's worth persevering with. But I've been watching it for 30 years, so yes, of course, I do know how it works.
I think a couple of things people are confused by, why there are adverts playing during the game, big adverts on the screens while the game's going on. A lot of English fans are talking to me about that. And obviously the teams coming off and on, the different, is it attacking and defensive and offensive teams coming on and kicking teams? And
no. It's offense and defense. Defense.
And is it a special kicking team as well, just to do kicks?
Yeah.
Is that right? And so players were coming on and off, and people couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, they almost on every play they might change the 11. So there'll be some players that will play every play that will always be on the pitch, but depending on how many yards they have to go, depending on what they have to try and do, they'll have different players in. It's like having set pieces, right? Like if we could put on all our 6'4" players on a set piece and then take them off once the set piece is over, we would do the same. But it's kind of along those lines where you're looking to, at the risk of sounding American, you're looking to take advantage of the matchups. So if your guy is 6'4" and the guy marking him is 5'10", you throw to that guy, right? It's kind of along those lines.
There's a lot of knocking people over. And Shan, just for the record, when you're slagging Americans, that is HG's wife. Wait. She
slags them off too. It's all right. I mean, I married one, but it doesn't mean that they're all amazing. It's
not Americans. It's the same with English people and Scottish people and Welsh people. Anyone that's really like massively over the top and bolshy, like really gets on my nerves. It's the same with Americans.
You don't like bolshy people?
No. I'm enough bolshiness for any group, Dave. I don't need more bolsh. I am the bolsh.
That was my next point.
How ironic.
Who would be your wife's team?
How ironic.
Who would be your wife's team? Who's your wife's local team?
She grew up in Northern California, and the way she says it is that all the good kids supported the 49ers and all the bad kids supported the Raiders back then because they were Oakland. But she doesn't really care. Her mum, she has an uncle who has season tickets for the Seahawks. So they're probably the family team, but no one in the family really cares about NFL at all.
Okay. Apart from you.
Yeah, in my family, me. But in her American family, she's the oldest of 6 girls, so it wasn't really a sport that they followed at home.
Yeah.
I
went to the New York Yankees Stadium. It was I was really excited to see.
That's a different sport, caller.
No, I know it is. I'm coming on. This is American sports all over. They're very long-winded, aren't they? Very, very long-winded. British sports, you just get it over with. It's 90 minutes plus 15 minutes to have an orange at half time, and you're on the train. But Christ, they do drag it out a bit, don't they?
It's a family event. I mean, you go to a baseball game, it's an event for the family. They don't mind going there. And they may only go once or twice a year, but if you're going to sit there for 3 hours, you have your hot dogs, you have your nachos. It's
about 5, basically.
It depends. I mean, some are quicker, some are slow. I mean, again, it's like a cricket match in the fact that it goes as long as it needs to.
It is like a cricket match. I agree.
Rounders is better, let's be honest.
Rounders is a bit better because you don't have to wear the pajamas.
Yeah. No World Series of Rounders, though, is there, Shan? Let's be honest.
If there was, I'd be pro. I was well good at Rounders.
Right, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. We're going to talk protests. Dave-O out. First question I've got is Donna coming bringing a dog into work? A case of the tail wagging the dog. So have you seen this? This apparently Donna Cullen, who is the I want to get her job title right, but I can't think. She's on the main board of Tottenham. Apparently, she's bringing her dog to work to help the mental health, or as an experiment to see if dogs help mental health. Shan, you are a pooch fan. Probably best to answer this question. How do you plead? Woof or woof?
I'm one of the really fortunate people that gets to have my dogs with me while I work every single day, but that is because I work from home. I spent 3 years pleading with people to let me bring my dog. Well, back when I was at home, it was my mum's dog Murphy, and then when I got Nala, it was Nala. Willow came after lockdown, so she don't count, and that explains why she's a needy asshole. But anyway, I do think it's good. But there are a lot of people that are scared of dogs and have allergies, and then you've got to take into considerations how they feel as well. My dogs are obviously very, very friendly. Nala's pretty chilled, but every now and then they're fighting now over a tug toy. But every now and then she'll come and nudge me, and it is a bit annoying after a while. So other people just might not like that. For dog people, it's great. If you're not a dog person and you prefer cats instead, don't trust those types of people. No. But
no, I hate cats. Honestly,
it'd be their worst nightmare.
Hate cats. There's 3 cats that just shit on my lawn. And if I could find them, I would literally turn them into a kebab.
So basically, today I've now offended Americans and cat people.
Look, Shan, I'm a pro at offending people. I can honestly say, just apologise for nothing whatsoever that comes out your mouth, and you'll be fine. Protests, Dave. Is it appalling behaviour?
That's a good pun for a dog joke. Well done there, caller.
Thanks, Dave. It's almost like I read it somewhere.
Did you now? And you delivered it so well, may I say. Listen, lots of people probably saying that, I don't know, however many people turned up, 25 people, 35 people, 70 people, da-da-da-da-da. The fact of the matter is that these
15,
people...
actually, I think. But...
15. Well, I'm sure that people are mocking them, saying that the people at last year's protests are 300 and what's going on, but I say good on them. If someone's passionate about something, someone believes in the cause, and they're prepared to turn up and do that, then good luck to them. So I don't have a problem with it. I mean, even if it doesn't suit my narrative, just to preempt a caller comment, then it's fine. They believe in what they want to do, and good luck to them. As long as they're not abusing people, not breaking the law or anything like that, fair play.
No, I agree with you. I think it's people's right to protest, and they should have the right to protest. I suppose my question is, was the American football the right time to do it, to garner attention? Cookie.
Yeah, I mean, when is there a wrong and right time to do it? Like Dave said, I think they've got a right to voice their opinion. Obviously, the NFL was drawing a lot of attention from the media everywhere. So they're trying to get their voice heard again at a different side of the club. But yeah, it's not my sort of thing, protest. If there was a buyer or someone willing to buy the club, then I think that it makes it a little bit different in terms of trying to force out the owners. But at the moment, there's no one looking to buy Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And it's not really my sort of tactic to go along and protest. But like everyone said, it's their right to do that, and good luck to them.
HG, you were shaking your head vigorously. Do you care to explain that?
Look, I don't know. We've had people on our show before talk about how they wanted to use the NFL to get exposure to the cause, they wanted to kind of hurt Levy's brand or hurt Levy, basically hurt the financial incentives of having the NFL at Spurs. I watched 4 hours of the NFL Network broadcast, and of course they didn't show it. It's not in their interest to show it. It's literally the NFL's own TV network that was broadcasting the game. Why would they show something that would hurt them too? So I get the intention. Obviously protest, do what you can, but that was just an unrealistic target. It was never going to happen, and it is never going to happen. Unless you do a flipping Man United and you break in, or you set fire to things outside the stadium, but no one wants you to do that.
We're not condoning that, by the way.
No.
We are not endorsing that whatsoever. Let's be really clear. These are the views of HG, not the Cheeseheads podcast. HG, continue.
But the point being is that as awful as it is, we have the supporters trust who do, granted, maybe have a bad relationship with the club right now, but they do have a relationship. And if you're not willing to do something different to them, then you're just diluting what they're trying to do. So I get the idea of, yes, that let's try and hurt Levy, but that's not going to do it. The only way to, as everyone else has said, if you want to protest, you have to protest regularly, and you have to do it inside the stadium, and you have to do it at the training ground, and you have to do it anywhere you can if you really believe that that's the way to go. Picking random Saturdays, no, it has to be a consistent effort if you really want to achieve anything. Otherwise, just join the trust and help them, because the trust only do what they are told to do. Right? They put votes out for the members of the trust. Their position is based on what their members are feeling. It's not the random people in charge of the trust that make those decisions. So if you really want to get a point across, join the trust. Or if you want to get a point that something else and be a bit more militant about it, then fine. But that's the choice you have.
You'd have to have mass protest to make the slightest bit of difference, and even then, it wouldn't go until it suits them. Sham.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it all along. I don't think that protesting will achieve anything. I don't think it's particularly the right way to go about it. Obviously, everyone has a right to do that if they think that's what's best, but I personally don't agree. Especially when it ends up like that, and it does. It just it almost looks embarrassing because there's so little people there. And you just think, well, okay, there's 25 of you there. What are you going to achieve? There's 3 banners. And it's the same people every week. They're not going to get taken seriously. And I know that they will reach the media and they have they've achieved that against Villa, but they're not reaching mainstream media. They're reaching clickbait media types. You know, like, oh God, I can't even remember what article it was, but it's the types of social media networks where they just put out stuff for likes and clicks. It's just not the way to. Enoch and Levy don't care. They're not going to care about 15 people stood outside the stadium with profit over glory and Enoch out. They're not going to give a shit. As long as there's 60,000 people in the stadium spending money, they ain't going to care. And like there's a few people in the comments that the same people that protest still spend money in the club. They spend money on tickets. They spend money inside. They spend money at the club shop. It's like a double-edged sword.
Do you not think they'd be better off petitioning people like Steve who get an audience with Joe Lewis to represent their views?
I'm sure Joe Lewis would really appreciate it if Steve went up to him and went, by the way, Joe, can I have a selfie? But first, Enoch out. Fuck off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that would happen. To be fair, anyone care to offer anything else on the protest before we move on?
we're going to go on to talk about Newcastle, and I think we'll dive into.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments about Newcastle. We are going to talk about that at the end.
Look, I think we'll talk about Newcastle and what it all means, and really, and also kind of impacts on Tottenham as well. But the reality of the situation is that these people they've made their protest. I think HG's right. We need to make there needs to be more of a concerted effort in terms of what needs to happen. I've joined the trust as well. I mean, even here sitting in Australia, what difference that make? But I think that it's an organisation that represents the fans. And
we are gonna have the trust on the show very soon. I should hasten to add. There's an emergency trust meeting tonight. Of all times, we did ask them to go on tonight, and that is the reason why they are not on tonight. But the trust are big friends of the Cheese Room, so we will absolutely get them on here and hold them to account with your questions, Dave. Sorry, continue what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I just think the NFL. Look, it's a source of revenue. It's good for the area, as HG said. I mean, if you offered me the option of a demonstration or watching 4 hours of gridiron, I'd probably do the demonstration.
Yeah, I would.
But there is no guarantee that the revenue that they get in will go towards the playing squad. And really, that is the rhetoric, I think, in my humble own opinion, that Enoch are peddling to us as supporters, to saying all these different revenue streams will go towards improving the squad. And I very much doubt that.
The trust are with us tomorrow from Brendan McCurdy. So I'm not sure that's we're doing an audio pod on that.
We are. I'm on it. So Brendan and I will be talking, and maybe a couple of others will be talking to
as well, actually. But
people. Yeah,
I wasn't sure whether we're doing it on here or on both, which is an option as well. But we'll come back to it. So we will talk to the trust. So that will be exciting stuff, I'm sure. Lots of questions for the trust. If you do have questions for the trust that you want us to talk about, do drop onto our Facebook page, drop onto our Instagram, our Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and for God's sake, like. There's 50 likes, 90 people watching. Come on, that means 40 people don't like what they're hearing. Come on, who wants to see Shan down a litre of vodka? We'll do that. 100 likes.
You're having a laugh. It's a school night.
I'm just indulging my childish state of mind here. But what, HG, you rolled your eyes then like I was going to say something really wrong.
When you talk about indulging, it's never a good thing.
Right. Well, indulge me on this. The boxing. Can I just say, 90 people watching, let me know what you think of Tyson Fury. What a fight. So we had the AJ Matt fight at the stadium. I was there. It was a good fight. Do you think that Tyson Fury is the greatest heavyweight of all time? Cookie.
All time, I don't know, but right now, definitely for me. I can't see any other heavyweights beating Tyson Fury after that performance again against Deontay Wilder. You just can't beat the guy. I think Wilder's hit him with that right hand over the 3 fights, maybe 5 or 6 times. The guy don't stay down. He's put 30 odd people out with that punch, Wilder, in the past, and he just can't keep Fury down. I was watching it at 5 a.m. in the morning, going mad, like, because he was well on top, and then obviously Wilder let go with that right hand and put Fury down twice in the same round. I was thinking, Jesus Christ! But you got to hit him with a bat or a table or something or a chair to sort of put him down, because he just gets back up. And I think that's the reason why. Yeah, I just think that's the reason why he can't be beaten at the minute. It seems like everyone puts their best shots on him, but he just can't put the guy down. But credit to Fury. I mean, I thought he boxed brilliant again. I don't think he was as good as the second fight in terms of how slick he was, but he just got the job done. He just stayed on him, didn't he? He didn't let him go out. He kept him in the centre of the ring, tried to push him into the corners and stuff like that, leaned on him a lot, put his weight on him a lot, which tired him out. And then you can see from sort of the 6th round, Deontay Wilder was glazed over. He just needed taken out of there, you know, and it took a really good punch in the end to put him out. But for me, Fury's on a different level at the moment. Usyk's dangerous, but I think he's too small to beat Fury, to be honest. I just don't think AJ's got it in him to beat Fury at all. So for me, I think Tyson Fury's out on his own at the moment in terms of the heavyweights. You know, I'd love to see him fight AJ in Britain and see how that goes. But, you know, unless Joshua wins those belts back from Usyk in his rematch, I can't see it happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, this is
great fight, though.
This is a Tottenham Hotspur podcast, but I think it's fair to say that I would love to see Tyson Fury fighting in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium next. Shan, did you see it at all? You're a fight fan. I know you've done a bit of boxing yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of boxing. My dad boxes. My dad coaches kids to box as well. So it's something that I really enjoy. Didn't actually watch the fight because I felt like I was dying yesterday and today, to be fair. I've not been feeling very well, so haven't seen it yet. But I did see the knockout, and yeah, Tyson Fury. I think Anthony Joshua would be mad to step into a ring with him anytime soon. On his form against Usyk, there's no way he's coming out of that ring stood up. He'll get sparked. Fury's too big for him, too technical for him. No one's better with their feet than him. He is, at the minute, he's the best heavyweight in the world. He is. He's a joy to watch. He's always a joy to watch. It would be great to see. Like I said to you, caller, if Tyson Fury fights at the stadium, I'll get tickets and take my dad there because he's a big Tyson Fury fan as well.
I'll be there. Can we go premium again? I did that for the AJ fight, and it was bonza. It's a different level in it. I think Fury boxes at a different level to AJ, to be perfectly honest. But we'll see what happens with that. Moving back to football, Newcastle. Our next opponents. Now, you'd be excited to know if you're watching this. We have got someone from We Are Newcastle TV appearing this Friday, where we're going to do a full match preview. But we will go into a little bit of detail now on the Takeover. And I'm sure we will recover this on Friday. So if you're a regular watcher of the show, do let us know what you think. Would you sell your soul for those Saudi billions? In the comments. That's not a leading question, obviously. I'm going to go to this first from Silent Dove, who's been asking this question for a long time and is a channel member. We appreciate you, Silent Dove. Do you think Bruce will be in a Newcastle job by this weekend? If not, who will be in his place? Please smash the likes. If you don't, Mike Ashley buys Tottenham. You've been warned. And we're going to go to Davo on this question first. I'm going to take a quick comfort break.
So, hello to Silent Dove. I think Silent Dove's first Tottenham game is the same as mine, which is Tottenham 9, Bristol Rovers 0. So, I think that's the case. So, hello, Silent Dove. I don't think Bruce will be in a job this weekend. I actually feel very sorry for Steve Bruce. I mean, he's managed 999 games. It would be, for someone of his career to get to 1,000, it might not happen. Newcastle is his chartered club, his parents' club. He has really had nothing but abuse from Newcastle fans since he started. And if you look at Steve Bruce's record against Benitez, it's actually very comparable. The problem with Steve Bruce is that Rafa Benitez is very good at playing owners off against fans. He did that at Liverpool. So I don't think he'll be in place, but I personally think there'll be a caretaker. So the guy who they've got as the assistant manager at the moment, I've forgotten his name.
He's called Graham Jones.
Yeah, Graham Jones. I think Graham Jones will be the caretaker this weekend. So that's my view. Anyone else got another view on this?
Yeah, I just don't see the point in it. I don't see the point in. It's similar to what Spurs did last season in sacking Jose 5 days before a cup final and putting Ryan Mason in charge. What's the point? I mean, Steve Bruce ain't that bad. He's done well with what he's had. I know he's not quite as technically astute as a lot of other Premier League managers, but he does a job. I just think it'd be crazy. Newcastle playing Spurs this weekend, and they want to sack their manager and go in with an interim with no idea of who they're going to replace him with. I've read reports today that actually the takeover happened quicker than they thought, so they're behind with their plans as well. So they don't quite know what the structure of the club's going to be yet. So I think to sack Bruce without even knowing what their structure is going to be and how they're going to go forward, how the ownership's going to go forward, it just don't seem like it's a very good idea. I think they've still got the existing managing director running things until they've sort of got their feet under the table and they understand how the club works a bit more. But I don't see Bruce is going to go. He'll go this season, but I just don't see it being this week.
Cookie?
I think he'll go this week. I think there'll be a caretaker in charge for Spurs on Sunday. Even without the takeover, let's face it, Newcastle haven't won a game this season. They're in the bottom two without a win in the first 7 games. I think you might have only had a couple of games left anyway, and I think they'll try to replace him without the takeover, to be honest. And I just think the takeover is going to accelerate that, and I think Steve Bruce will be gone by the end of the week to face Tottenham on Sunday, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for Spurs, you know. So obviously, Dr. Tottenham, hope that don't turn up on Sunday to give Newcastle their first win. But I can't see Steve Bruce being there at the end of the week. I think they're going to take him out of that position to face Spurs.
How's the bacon? Did you see? I love it. I love Brucey just for that one comment alone. I've got to say, wouldn't it be perfect justice if the Saudis bought a team that then got relegated, Shan?
Oh, that'd be brilliant. But you just know they'd throw so much cash at it.
They're going to have a crazy January.
Straight back up anyway. I've been quite vocal about this takeover, and as a woman, I think that's the right thing to do. If I went to their country and held hands with Jack because I'm not married to him, I'd get stoned. It's ridiculous. I think I wouldn't be true to myself or my beliefs if I supported that kind of takeover, and I wouldn't support it at Spurs either. I'd wash my hands. I've got family that are LGBTQ. I just don't agree with. I mean, let's be honest. It might be a investment fund, but they're still owned by Saudi Arabia. This is the country that chops off the body parts of journalists and are open about it. They behead people. They stone women in the street. They kill people for their sexual orientation. It's just not something that I'd want to be involved with or put money into, frankly. And I think it's disgusting. And I think the statement that their Newcastle Fans United page, which is their LGBTQ supporters trust page, put out is just so evident of sports washing. Chuck money at it and your beliefs go out the window. But not for me. I wouldn't sell my soul for that. It's not worth it.
It'd be an interesting. I mean, we could debate this at length around. There's so many comments on this, and so many points of view. My best friend, who lives in Dubai now, used to live in. So he now works for Man City. He used to work for the Saudis. He lived in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years, and he used to live opposite a place called Chop Chop Square. I'll let you know. I'll let your imagination run wild with what that was, and that was
Salt Bay. Was it Salt Bay in his?
It wasn't Salt Bay, no. But that was the entertainment on a Sunday. Mutilations and executions. It certainly still happens there. all the time. And I think everyone in Newcastle seems to have forgotten about that a little bit at the moment. It'll be interesting to see when we have Newcastle on the show.
Can I talk about this for a second, caller?
Yeah, absolutely.
This point. Look, I agree with everything that Shan said. Right, let's get that out there. Like everything that Shan said is probably representative of most of us, if not all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But that she talked about how the deal went through quickly, and now they're not like prepared. They don't really know what they want to do or how they're going to do it. That's how this got through, Paul Russell. Is because it was just rushed through, and like as much as we've read in this week about how certain clubs, including Tottenham, including Daniel Levy, have been against this, don't want this. That's how it happened. I think was it the lawyer Premier League came out and said there's no reason for it not to go through, and then suddenly within 36 hours, 48 hours, it had gone through. That's it. It's been rushed through for various reasons. We all know the reason it didn't go through a couple of years ago was because of the whole Saudi Arabia, Qatar, like TV rights issues that Qatar have been stealing the feed. I don't know the ins and outs, but clearly it was to do with that, not to do with who the Saudis are, not to do with what they clearly do. I don't want that at Spurs. I would never want that at Spurs. As much as Lewis has a fair few like skeletons in his closet about what he gets up to, which aren't great. And if you look into it, they're really not nice. To be as open as they are. No, there's no way I could stomach that happening at Spurs. And I saw a comment where apparently.
What would you do if sorry to interrupt. What would you do if the Saudis? I mean, I saw a comment, Paul Russell. The Saudis wanted to buy Spurs in 2019. Maybe Lewis was asking too much. I've seen that speculation in the newspapers. Probably were asking too much because if you can pick Newcastle up for 300 million or pay 1.8 billion or whatever it is for Spurs, you're going to choose Newcastle. No,
not when you've got 320 billion. It doesn't matter, right? That really doesn't matter.
Because they're an investment company. They're fundamentally
they're not saving up their money for a different purchase now, right?
They'll make a profit on Newcastle. It's purely not an engine to funnel money in. They will make a profit.
I don't think they're fussed about making a profit, Owen. They're not you. I genuinely don't think about making a profit.
I disagree.
So why are they doing it then? They want the pleasure of owning a club in the Premier League? What is it?
You tell me. What do they want to do? Pour their money into it for no reason?
Well, you just answered your own question. I don't really care why they want to do it. The fact is they are.
It's an investment fund. It's an investment fund.
It's an investment fund.
Pensions will be linked to that investment fund. That investment fund will ultimately want to make a profit. It's no different to ENIC buying Spurs for 30 million 20 years ago and selling it for 3 billion now. The Saudis will have bought ultimately that club for 300 million quid. It'll be worth billions by the time they're finished with it. So they'll get a return on their investment at the end of the day, even if they spend a couple hundred million.
And who's going to buy the club from them then? It's the same issue with Levy. If you're right, which I don't believe you are, who would buy the club from them? They don't need the money. The money is irrelevant to them. If they're worried about pension funds, they have 320 billion. Any Saudi right now could retire for life, and they'd still have
it's 800 billion.
800 what billion?
Yeah.
Oh, so the wealth fund is only 320. Oh, well, in that case, they clearly are skint. Cool. I can only hope you are saying this for clicks and for likes, because surely you know what you're saying is utter bollocks.
They'll make a profit out of Newcastle.
But to be fair, they've got so much money, they could probably make a profit out of Spurs as well, because they just continue what Levy and Joe Lewis are doing at Spurs. They just continue that whole redevelopment of Tottenham and make it into some sort of.
I suppose the point is, why would you pay £3.2 billion for a going concern when you could pick one up just as big for 300 million?
Just as big? You want to say that again? Make sure we can clip that?
Then you can clip it. The Newcastle fan base is just as big as the Tottenham fan base.
Yeah, that one town up in the northeast.
They got massive sorry, Newcastle. They got massive
in Newcastle, but nowhere else.
No, I disagree.
Well, okay, I don't think their fan base is as big. Well, I don't think the Newcastle brand is as big commercially as Spurs. Not anymore.
Hang on, but nor was Man City's and nor was Chelsea's.
Yeah, it will be now. There's already you've already got Saudi
that's the
Arabia.
point.
That comes with trophies and European tournaments, doesn't it?
But no. That's the point, though, isn't it? I mean, my thoughts are on this is that the deal went through because Qatar and Saudi Arabia resumed diplomatic relations, and therefore the reason why the Premier League blocked this a year and a half ago wasn't for fit and proper, wasn't sports washing.
No,
nothing to do with that. It was to do with the fact that BN Sports, which is a Qatar company, which is the Premier League's broadcaster, was not allowed to broadcast in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia put their own thing on. It was all about broadcasting rights. Qatar and Saudi Arabia resumed diplomatic relations. Ergo, the deal's gone through, right? If I look at clubs which have got backing from owners with a dubious human rights record, you look at PSG, you look at Man City, you look at Chelsea as well. I remember going to Stamford Bridge and there were a small bunch of demonstrators around what Abramovich has been up to. But the fact of the matter is that whether owners have got dubious human rights records or anything like that, unfortunately for all of us, it's a complete irrelevance because money talks on this. And in relation to Newcastle, from the Sovereign Wealth Fund, so the Premier League have put in place this thing that they've said that as long as the club's not run by the Saudi Arabian government, it can go through, and there's legal agreements in place on this. It's the Sovereign Wealth Fund, of which the chairman of the Sovereign Wealth Fund is the same as the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. So that's just nonsense. It's another private equity deal. So Amanda Staveley's got, I think, 10% in the club. The Reuben brothers have got 10%, and the Saudis have got 80%. So for Amanda Staveley, who also did the deal for City, and is in private equity, and the Reuben brothers, who are in private equity and other real assets, this is a private equity deal for them as well. And the reality is for Newcastle, they've got a stadium which I think takes 45 to 50,000 and probably an opportunity to grow. They have got a fervent supporters base. They've had to pay 350 million for it. And they've come in, and what it represents to them is an opportunity to improve that squad. I think it took City 4 to 5 years to win the Premier League after taking over in 2008. And if you look at, as I've said on this before or on the pod, you look at Chelsea and you look at City, and the global branding over the last 10 to 15 years has massively improved outside the UK. And it will be the same thing for here. It puts into place, from our point of view, what will be interesting, and I think you should brief the Newcastle Fan TV guy on Friday that he is going to get a lot of questions, so he doesn't feel ambushed. But the fact of the matter is that Newcastle hated Mike Ashley and wanted anything to get him out of the club. Okay, so they've got that now, and now they've been given the keys to riches and things like that beyond their dreams. And whether from their point of view and the Newcastle fans' point of view is the British government do dealings with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia have got a lot of investments in the UK anyway. And all of Sean's points are completely correct and fair enough.
Dave.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be a Newcastle fan's choice as to whether or not they're going to continue to support their club with the owners that they are. And I suspect the majority will do so.
Of course they will. Here's my question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
As a vermin Enoch out.
Yeah, I know what the question is, but go on.
Well, indulge me.
The question is, if the
Saudis were to buy Tottenham Hotspur and not Newcastle and buy Enoch out as you wish, would you be behind that?
I think it's a very difficult question because I want Enoch out of our club on the sheer basis of their record for managing us as a football club is extremely poor, and I'm extremely frustrated by that. As I've said on the pod on YouTube before, I don't expect us to go out and buy Messi next week to play alongside Matt Doherty in the Europa Conference. All right, I'm not that deluded. But what I was looking for is for us to invest in the squad meaningfully with players who've got a real chance of potential, your Maddisons, your Maguires, whatever, right? If the Saudi Arabians come in, it would be very difficult for me because from one point of view, I'd be delighted that they're out and we've got someone who's meaningfully investing in the squad. But then you've got this example of sports washing, but then you've also got the example of it's completely out of my control anyway as a supporter. and we've all got our history with the club. We've all started supporting the club since we were young kids, families, whatever. And will that ruin it for us and our experience and our love for the club? And that's a difficult question to answer. So sorry, I've answered it, but I've not answered it.
Well, you've not, so I'm going to go back to you with a simple yes/no. Would you be happy if would you continue to support Tottenham Hotspur if Saudi Arabian government backed a takeover of the club?
I can't answer that at the moment. It's a tough one.
HG,
I come from the same. I've got the same kind of perspectives that Sean has.
Okay.
What I will say, one last thing I will say on this though. I mean, I've got the same perspective about respect for women, gay and lesbian rights. The whole record is appalling, and they will try and sports wash it. What I find interesting, and I'm going to make this very clear at the start of my sentence, is that I'm Jewish. I'm not a very religious Jew, but I'm still Jewish. The Saudi Arabian government don't recognise Israel. I don't think there's any diplomatic relations. I find it very interesting that the Reuben brothers, who are Jewish, have done a deal with the Saudi Arabian government, and I'm sure that that's what happens. And it just shows to you that business objectives and needs do come above, for lots of people, what their personal beliefs are. And that's the way of the world.
Interesting statement. Cookie, we've not really heard from you. So your view on this, do you feel a bit like Dave and you've got splinters in your arse and you're on the fence? Or do you feel
I'm a bit greedy.
That's it.
I'm a bit greedy because I want the investment. Obviously, I love Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It's my team. I want to see them do well. I want to see them win everything. So I want the investment that these guys are going to bring in. I don't want these guys, but I would love the investment. And just the only thing I'm envious this week is the 5 to 10 year plan to win the Premier League. Now, I'd love Spurs to come out and say, right, the plan is for us to win the Premier League in the next 5 to 10 years. Obviously, that's not going to happen as we are at the moment. But that's the thing I want the most. I want a plan. I want a vision. I want something for the club to go forward and build on. And I think that's what we're slightly lacking at the moment. So from their new owners' point of view, they're the things I want for Tottenham, but not necessarily the owners that are taking over is not what I want for my club now. So again, I'm not answering it, but I want parts of it, but there's some parts I really don't want, and there are bits that Shan and Dave already touched on.
You're all sitting on the fence, which is interesting.
It's hard because
you're not all. You're not all.
It's hard because you love your club and you want your club to do well, and you want new owners that are going to invest in the team. I mean, that's the basics of it, isn't it? We want an ownership that are going to put money into the team for Tottenham to be successful. These owners will do that, but it's the baggage that comes with these owners we don't want, that type of owner.
Let's go for some comments. We've got loads of them. Kelso, I agree with Shannon. Gays or anyone against the regime eliminated. I have a Geordie mate here in Boston who's made up because Ashley's gone, but silent on the origin of the owners and their wealth. Premier League bubble is getting bigger and bigger. That's for sure. Chop Square wasn't far from AJ Ruiz fight too. Yeah, that's another thing that happened.
Can you bring up John Fernandez for a minute? I just want to address that.
I'll get.
I've got it. I can.
You got it.
Yeah, I'll find it. There you go.
There you go. Oh, did the same time. Like the Jews don't do anything wrong around the world. Go for it, Dave.
That's not what I'm saying, John. And we're not. And I've gone down into the political. We've gone a bit political on this, and the cheese room tries not to be political. I'm not saying the Jews do or don't do anything around the world. That's not my point. My point is around personal expediency, about the role. The Reuben brothers. I don't know them or anything like that. But that's their view and what they've done. And my point is around business interests will come more often than not will come over personal interests. That's my point. I support Spurs because I agree with you, John. I support Spurs because of who they are. It's in my DNA and it's in all our DNA. Nothing to do with their owners. So that's just the point I wanted to make there. Okay.
Yep, fine. I think we need to be careful regarding the alleged sale in 2019. It's only been discussed in the Newcastle Village Gazette, not a reliable source. I think that's fair. Slaughter a reporter and record it for the rule of the Saudis. Make it, yeah, absolutely. And what am I drinking? And then in the next breath, Newcastle as big as the Spurs. Yeah. The fit and test, proper test is complete nonsense. I think that's probably fair.
And just on John's point, has come back. fair play, John. I didn't think you were, but I just wanted to make that point. So just to be clear for John as well. All right.
Stuart Austin, we have Enoch and Newcastle in Dreamland. HG, you'd rather be in Enoch Land than Dreamland, though, right?
Well, that's not the choice I've got, is it? Look, maybe it's easier for me to say this because I'm abroad. The money I put into the club is very minimal compared to some of you. They would be my team, but I can't say I'd support them. I'd follow the results, but I wouldn't get any joy from it. Like people talk about going out and buying the league as being bad, but going out and buying the league with Saudi money, like that's another level of bad. I couldn't get behind it. Like, I mean, for a lot of us who are, my age, I'm early 40s, approaching mid 40s. Like there was a time when it looked like Spurs weren't going to exist. They were going to go bankrupt. And as a kid, I was 11, 12. I did think about which team I would support if Spurs went under. And I didn't really understand what that meant really at the time, but I still knew that if Spurs didn't exist, I would have to pick another team. So I'm not massively against it, like against the idea of having a different team, of picking someone else to support. Because of where I live, there's a good chance it may not be an English team, and I would maybe pick a German team or something where it's different. Spurs will always be my English club, but I don't think I could ever get behind financially or in any other way really the idea that if Spurs were owned by the Saudis. That's just my personal opinion. But if it was to happen, and thankfully it's not going to by the looks of it now, then I'd be like, no. It's just there are some things that are more important than football, frankly.
My personal opinion is there are 111 people watching live right now and only 59 likes. So please smash that like button, splinter your finger. Let's get the likes up and more people watching. Newcastle fans getting rid of Mike Ashley is like kicking Harvey Weinstein out of his bedroom if Fred West walks in his place.
Exactly that.
I knew you wanted to say something on it, Shan. That's why I threw it
exactly up there. It's surely Mike Ashley is the lesser of two evils here. I know that they're probably going to see their club become more successful, but at what cost?
Well, yeah,
and that is the point.
For many of them, it's not a cost to them, so they don't care, and that's probably a statement on society as it is, sadly. From a football perspective, to go back to the football, I am interested to see what they're going to do with all this money. Where they're going to go with it.
Well, you're assuming they're going to spend loads of money because let's put it this way.
Yeah, but how?
Aston Villa have got billions. They don't spend loads. Wolverhampton Wanderers have got billions. They don't spend loads. They're Wolves, I think, the fourth richest owners in the league, and they're looking to make money because that's the Chinese investment. So it's not as straightforward as they're going to do exactly what Abu Dhabi Investment Group have done in Manchester City. It's yet to be seen, isn't it? We'll see what happens. Sorry, Shan.
I think the new manager as well. I think the new manager is a big indicator as well. Whoever they get in for Bruce will show us what their intentions are short term.
The thing is, as well, you've got to remember they've not got really any infrastructure. Their training ground is pretty much non-existent. They're going to have to completely rebuild their training ground. They're going to have to get a good their academy. What really goes on there? Like, there's no infrastructure around the club. For them to be a truly big club, they need to build the infrastructure first and get that in place. You're not going to get good players that are going to want to go and train in a training ground that's crumbling and falling down around you. So I think it is going to take them a little while. But yeah, for me, I love Spurs, but I couldn't put my beliefs on the burner, as they would say, just to go and support my team for 90 minutes. I couldn't do it.
To be fair, all new owners come out with big 5 to 10 year plans. I suspect Enoch did the same. Dave,
they've got a 40 to 50 year plan, and by which time we're so senile we won't remember it.
Brilliant. I'd rather follow the present path with Enoch than yield to oiled slicks. Yeah. not
No,
much.
I mean,
more.
honestly, I'm genuinely interested to see where they go. If you assume that money is the key thing here, right, and they're going to go out and get the best manager money can buy, which probably right now is Antonio Conte, then if they can get him to do it, then he'll do it. But I'm not sure that Conte is massively interested in the money himself. Right? They've got to convince players to go. If they're looking at buying players in January, I mean,
this point. So there's still FFP, and they can't go and spend 600 million.
True, but if the punishment for spending more than that is a couple of years outside the Champions League and they haven't qualified, big deal. The punishment has to have teeth, and I'm just not sure it will do to a group that have the billions that they do. I want to know, even if they did go out and spend 600 million, who are they going to spend it on? If they want to go and buy people in January, who is it going to be? And basically, they're looking at big six cast-offs. Frankly, people that those clubs don't want. If you're 21, 22, and you're the next big thing, are you going to really want to go? I mean, who was Man City's first big buy? Robinho did nothing for them. Right, the money was actually when they bought Vincent Kompany. He is basically the result of that. It was 7 million from Hamburg, next to nothing really. They've got to spend the money wisely if they want to do what City did. Yes, City went out and spent a lot of money on a lot of players, and the wages were massive at the time. But I mean, does anyone really? David Silva was a massive success. They bought Aguero, right? So they're probably the big three. But do Newcastle have that? Will people say yes? I will take the money for 3 years, and then try and go somewhere else. Are football players going to sign long-term contracts at Newcastle, knowing on big money, knowing full well that if they ever wanted to leave because it wasn't working out, they wouldn't be able to do so? No other club would want to take those wages on. If I'm 21, 22, I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, I'll sign a 3-year deal at Newcastle. I'll set up my family for life in those 3 years. They can pay me whatever it is that I can get out of them. But crucially, I'll be out after 3 years, having made my money, and then maybe I can go somewhere else. I'd be surprised to see top quality players, unless they're at the end of their career, signing big 4 or 5 year deals for them. Because again, when Man City were taking over, there were 4 Champions spots, and they became number 6. So there was more of a chance for them to do it. But with Newcastle, suddenly we've got 6 massive sides. You've got Leicester, who are clearly punching way above where they should be. West Ham are doing the same. So for Newcastle to get into where they want to be, they have to spend that money wisely. And if they don't have a plan in place, like Shan has said, it could take them 18 months before they even start to see an improvement. I really am interested from a football side how they go about it, how they build the club, how they build the team, because it's Football Manager on cheat mode.
Well, we are building a team, and we've got 116 people watching and 66 likes, which doesn't equate to much. So please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button while you're there, hit the share button if you're feeling extra generous, and if you really want to go the whole hog, send us a super chat. Stuart says the difference between Villa and Wolves is that Newcastle can outbid any team for fees and wages. Don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest, Stuart, because obviously you're not going to end up paying billions for players. I think it's identifying the targets, isn't it, Cookie?
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen a list of players that Newcastle are linked with at the moment. And it includes, I'll read out some of the names. So Aaron Ramsey, Donny van der Beek, Raheem Sterling, Philippe Coutinho, Anthony Martial, Jesse Lingard, and Icardi, PSG. So they're some of the names that they're rumoured with to be making offers for in January. What do you think of those names? Aaron Ramsey, Donny van der Beek, Coutinho, Sterling, Lingard, Icardi, and Martial. So they are some cast-offs, like HG was saying, from the top 6 and around Europe. But definitely improved the team at Newcastle for sure. But can it happen?
Were there any defenders amongst? Sorry, Cookie. Were there any defenders amongst that?
They've got Tarkowski from Burnley, Eric Bailly from Man United, and Fernandes. They're the 3 defenders that are on the list.
No.
Okay. Gov's just put in a massive super chat, $49.99. Massive appreciation for that. That is mind blowing. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Drop any questions in, and we will get to them. Completely agree with Shannon HG. Sorry, HG, interrupting you.
I forgot what I was saying. I'm just really happy at Gov. Thank you, Gov. That's really, really kind. Yeah, with Newcastle and the players that they can get. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I try to put myself in the position of a player, and I do that when it comes to maybe joining Spurs. Right now, Spurs are in a bit of a hole. Like, we're not a particularly attractive club to join. Newcastle, yeah, okay, they can offer money, but that is pretty much it. So, like, do you want to commit a huge amount of your playing career to a team like that? I just don't know if many would. Like, maybe Icardi will, if there's all. I mean, they're going to go there for a nice, highly paid retirement because they will get that money regardless. Like, let's be honest. I don't think signing for Newcastle is really much different than maybe signing for the Qatari club that Alderweireld did. People will go there because it's, you know, it's a lot of money for playing a bit of football. Icardi's at PSG. He doesn't play every week for them, and he gets a lot of money for doing it. I just like Lingard's 28. Like if Newcastle are going to build that club, then they have to buy younger players. They have to they should go all out and try and get Haaland, if only for a couple of years, and say, yeah, like if that was feasible, they should try and do it. I don't think Haaland would go for it, but do you know what I mean? That's the type of splash that they need to try and make. Because if they do get Haaland, then maybe they could attract more people, and maybe then they could sign a second contract, and they might get to the Champions League quickly. But if they don't get there quickly, they may not get there. They may end up having this the type of quality or the type of player they'll get will be someone that is not invested in growing the club and becoming a Newcastle legend, right? That they'll get people that are there for the money, and that's it.
I think we've got to remember what Icardi is like as a personality in the dressing room as well. He causes more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah.
So it's all well and good. Oh, we're signing Icardi, but at what cost? Again, it's like your owners, all shiny new owners, lots of money. But at what
Chelsea,
cost?
if you look at Chelsea signings in the first season with Abramovich, they signed players like Glenn Johnson, Damien Duff, Wayne Bridge, Joe Cole.
Yeah.
They signed good Premier League players, but not world names, not well beaters, if you like. I mean, they got Joe Cole and Herman Crespo.
You've got to build it a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think Newcastle will do a similar thing. They'll buy these Anthony Martials, they'll try and get Raheem Sterlings. They'll start off with a base, and then as they get more, if they grow and they get more successful and get finished higher up in the league, get into Europe, that's when you'll start seeing some big signings come through the door. But for me, it's the manager. I think the manager coming in is the indicator. Who do they replace Steve Bruce with? That will show us what their intent is early doors.
This is a chat from Paul Muir, channel member. Please do see in the pinned link, you can become a channel member too. Mike Ashley, not popular. Legacy for new owners is a profitable club. 3 years profit, 38 million plus. FFP adjustments, academy, etc. about 50 million. This means the new owners have allowable FFP loss of 105 million plus 88 million. So about 190 million quid they can basically spend or direct investment in the club. It's a huge sum of money, isn't it, Shan? I mean, that straight away is going to put them at a competitive advantage against a massive amount of teams.
I don't know. We spent over 100 million on Ndombele and Giovani, Lo Celso. So
True.
Again, you can spend the money, but it's got to be spent in the right ways. Manchester United have wasted hundreds of millions on players that haven't worked out. Angel Di Maria, Sanchez, 450 grand a week didn't work out. So you can splash the money. It doesn't mean it's going to make your team successful. They've got to be careful how they go about it, I think. So yeah, 190 million is a lot, but Spurs have the capacity to spend that sort of money if they really wanted to. So we can compete financially with that if that is the case.
And that brings me on to this. So again, Gov, thanks for your amazing super chat. Have faith in Paratici. This guy turned Juventus around and was there for 11 years. It's been 5 months. And I suppose that is a very, when you talk about how you spend money, that is a massive thing, isn't it, Dave? I know you've got to go shortly, but I thought I'd throw this one to you because you love talking about ENIC and what they spend and Paratici. So what's your thoughts on that?
Look, I think with Paratici, we can't judge him until 2 or 3 transfer windows in. Okay, so my concern was with the transfer window we've just had is we've brought in all players that don't have any Premier League experience whatsoever, and from a balance point of view, it would have been good to have one or two players who've got some Premier League experience. As I said, you can't judge him. I think HG made a very good point about Paratici at the start when he said that at the start of this, when he said that Paratici was at Juventus for 10 or 11 years, he had Juventus resources and Juventus's name as a calling card to bring in players, which Spurs don't have in comparison to the league that we're in. The fact of the matter is that I think financial fair play is really the biggest misnomer around. The person who invented it, Michel Platini, is banned from the game for 2 to 3 years because of a payment he got from Sepp Blatter. That's a matter of record. I haven't seen any of the clubs such as PSG, Man City, Chelsea been excluded from the Champions League. It's not in the sponsor's interest. It's not in UEFA's interest that they're banned from the Champions League for financial fair play. And what we do know as a matter of public record is that the Premier League have gone after Man City for financial fair play. It went to the High Court because they was both the Premier League and Man City were stopping the press from reporting on it. And the High Court ruled that you could report on it. And so the Premier League have been going after City for a few years now. Nothing's happened. Chelsea got banned from the transfer window, but that was over irregularities for transfer dealings and nothing to do with financial fair play. So I know what we're saying, that and Paul, makes a very good point that Newcastle got 190 million to play with. I honestly don't think financial fair play comes into it with the resources that they have and the lawyers that they will have. So if anyone wants to come back on me, please do, and then I've got to go. If anyone wants to have a go at me, do it now or I'm off.
Please do. Have a good go at him. I like having a go at him, but just for a change, I'll duck out if you want to slap into him. Conte would never work for ENIC. He's a winner. Dave, that's surely that's you all over.
Yeah, but Conte Conte decided not to work for it. And the cynic in me says the chat about Conte and Poch was around season ticket renewal time. This is a common tactic. We'll go and have the discussions with the big people. It's around season ticket renewal time, and it doesn't happen. Conte looked at.
Can I just say that's the most absurd idea.
Go and have a look at the list of players that we get linked with, and it never happens over the last 20 odd years. It's the same bollocks every time. We put in the bid for Aguero at Atletico 1 minute before the transfer window deadline. Finished January 2010. It's just window dressing. That's what it is. Conte went and had a chat with ENIC. ENIC told him what the budget was. ENIC told him what it was, and Conte said, "No, thanks very much." Conte was the best available manager. If we'd got Conte, and I remember we did a show together about Conte during the summer. All of us were very excited together. That's very rare, right? Yeah. We were all excited. He would have been a top manager to come in. Okay, Davo, you're talking out your backside, probably. But the fact of the matter is that Conte took one look at us, had the chat, and said, "It's not for me." So we've ended up with Nuno.
I mean, the conspiracy theory about season ticket renewals is an interesting one, but probably one for a different debate. Let's talk about this for a second. Real Madrid request to reduce regular buyback fee. What's your thoughts? Oh dear, have they met our chairman? You're off, Dave.
I'm going to go. Do you want to do the time-honoured tradition?
No.
Ready?
No.
No?
Just go. It's fine.
All right. Go. Love to see you all. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for going for that. For the thing. Very cool. Ta-ra. Bye.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
Let's go you on this one.
Never happening. I can't see it happening, to be honest. Is it true? I don't know. How true is it? How bad do they need him? How much do they want to get him back?
They're skinned, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not gonna. It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna reduce the fee on that. To be honest, yeah, it's Daniel Levy, it's ENIC. We know what we're getting with them. But yeah, is it true? I can't see. I don't even think it's true. To be honest, I'm not even believing it. To be honest, I can't see it happening.
Also says agree with Davo, but the signs still look good. All his signings, Paratici, are to date are a step up, in my opinion. Hill, Romero, Sarr, and even Royale look good, Shan.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's a bit early to judge them still, but I think we're seeing signs of promise. We knew that we'd be rebuilding. We knew that we're buying younger players in, trying to reduce the age of the squad. That is what Paratici is doing and has done so already in the first window. Having Sonny as our oldest outfield player at 29, I think, is testament to that. Hill looks exciting. I think we're all really looking forward to seeing what he can do. Romero, again, only 23. He looks like an absolute Rolls Royce of a defender. Emerson's in the last game against Villa looked really, really good. He had a shaky first few games, but it was a bit of a baptism of fire, and the whole team wasn't really playing well. So I'd like to see him with a little bit of consistency and see what he can bring to the table. He obviously was good at Betis, so it's good signs. Who have I missed? Sarr. I haven't seen what he can do, but I've heard good things.
And the fact that they're trying to bring an attacking midfielder in January, which is what came out last week, wasn't it? Hopefully that's true.
Or striker.
We can get that.
Attacking midfielder or a striker in January, and we're off. Paratici's a god, in my opinion. If we manage to get a striker in.
We need to get that done.
Like we all know that Levy doesn't really spend to accumulate, right? Like he spends what he has, and now it looks like Paratici has basically been said, this is what you've got, off you go. We can sit here and say, yeah, maybe signing Bryan right now wasn't the best deal because we maybe didn't need him. But if he wants him, and that's your opportunity, and the only way you can really get him is by sacrificing. By sending Lamela off. Sacrifice is the wrong word, clearly.
You'd like to sacrifice Lamela.
Are we going back to Saudi Arabia? No.
Yeah.
The point being is that the signings that we've got, as much as we're seeing them too much, they don't appear to be bad signings, and we. For whatever reason, Levy has said we don't have the money to go out and spend 100 million in the summer because he wanted to see that we actually had full stadiums for 6 months, right? So let's say we get full stadiums until January. We've got that revenue coming in. Levy might possibly say, I'm speculating, he might say, right, well now we've got a chance to go out and do something in January because money has come in. The NFL games have actually taken place rather than just scheduled. So, wow, that's very American. Scheduled. But that's the idea. I do think that a lot of it is based on COVID. Had COVID not happened and we'd have had, the last 18 months of full stadiums, then we would have spent a bit more money. Maybe not as much as we'd need, right? Maybe not as much as that we'd have liked to really compete this season. But we talk about the summer that Mourinho had. We were all really happy with what we'd done. We'd got a couple of loans in here and a cheap buy there, and we built a squad that we thought could compete. And the problem was we had a manager who just pissed everyone off. Now we don't really have a squad that we feel can compete, but perhaps we've decided, I'm not going to just loan in Vinicius for a year when it doesn't really bring anything to the club. Maybe I want Scarlett to have those opportunities. If Parrott was here, maybe he'd get those opportunities. That's the choice you make. But maybe I'm looking for positives. But I do think that the way that Daniel Levy has always operated since, for a decade now, what you bring in, you can then spend, right? And we didn't sell that really good team that we had. The only one we sold at full price was Walker, and it was the beginning of the end. We didn't sell Toby for the money we could have got. We haven't sold Kane for the money that we might have been able to get. And I don't think I wouldn't have wanted to see that. I didn't like the fact we sold Walker. It's just an idea that maybe if that's the way he's going to operate forever, which, let's face it, he may well just decide that that's how I want to do things, that we need to have that revenue coming in for a period of time before we can go out and spend it. We're still not going to spend the money that Chelsea do or that Man City do because they have owners that will go out and do that. But we are putting ourselves in a position where we can, where we will. And I want to believe, but I do think we will.
I just want to say, Gov, unbelievable, another $50 super chat. Incredible. Listening to HG speak. If you want to listen to HG speak, I'm sure he'll work all night for the super chat. So no, we really appreciate you, and I appreciate your point as well. Let's give Nuno and Paratici a chance. Absolutely. Let's go to some more comments. Stuart, not convinced about Galini yet, to be honest, especially if the plan is for him to replace Hugo. Shan, do you want to talk about this? I'll be right back.
Yeah, I still want to see Galini in front of a competent back four because I don't think we've really seen that yet. I don't think we can. I know you can say, well, good goalkeepers will save shots if they're decent, regardless of who's in front of them. But if you've got a competent back four in front of you, it gives you confidence. And if you've got confidence, you're going to play better. He needs to have confidence in the four playing in front of him. I think he needs to play in front of behind a consistent four as well. I don't think we can judge him based on what we've seen so far. I don't think he's had a fair go at things for the reasons I've highlighted. He needs consistency. None of us want to see this, but I think the only way we'd really see the best of him is if Hugo was to be out for a few games in the Premier League. None of us wants to see that, but it'd be the big indicator of whether Galini's good enough or not.
Sorry, do we really think he has been bad so far?
I don't think he's been bad. No, I think he looks okay. And I think the way we will really see what he can do is playing consistently with a consistent back four in front of him. Yeah. I personally want to see Hugo sign another contract. I'd really love to see him stay. I think he's still got it in him to give us another couple of years. I think he just seems to be improving with age. He doesn't seem to be falling away. I know goalkeepers can go on for longer anyway, but he just seems to be getting better and better, making better decisions as he gets older. But yeah, I think
it would be a shame. Yeah, it'd be a shame to see him go at the end of this season.
It would be a massive shame. I think he's still got more to give to Spurs. I'd love to see him. I think we'd all love to see him lift a trophy with Spurs, and I think to see him do that, he needs to stay for another couple of years. But or 50, he'll be in a Zimmer, and he'll still be like, "I've got to be here. I've got to lift a trophy with Spurs." But yeah, no, I it's hard to judge Galini. I don't think we can see with, like I say, I think that the only way we're really going to see if he's good enough is if for some reason Hugo wasn't playing in a few Premier League games and he gets a bit of a consistent run in the team.
Yeah, and let's face it. Like, I mean, Nuno may not be around for the next 3 to 5 years, right? But there's a good chance that a lot of the coaching staff might be, or at least some of them. And so, like, if Galini is impressing on the training pitch, then, like, as awful as it sounds, would you pay 15 million for a decent backup? I mean, like, it's not the best use of money because that's how much he would cost. But if Hugo does go, I mean, who is the superstar keeper that we're going to sign? I see that we're linked with Sam Johnston, who's obviously in the England squad, and he would be available on a free. So then you'd have those two keepers battling for a number one at Spurs. Like, they're not Lloris quality, but where are these keepers? I don't know. Like, I've always said that to be a first choice goalkeeper at a top 10, top 15 club in the world is a pretty good gig. And so there will be a number of goalkeepers that would be interested in replacing Lloris. Galini has the first option and the best shot of doing it because the deal is in place. If we want to pay the money, which, again, after a full season of COVID, maybe we can. A full season without COVID, maybe we can. But it's, whether he's going to be as good as Hugo, probably not. But it might be tough. It would be tough to find
a year or two. I don't think a year or two with Hugo would do him any harm, though, as well. Training every day, learning from him. He's one of the best keepers in the world, Hugo Lloris. What better way to learn your trade and get back in first team picture? Once he learns from Hugo Lloris and some of the stuff that he can rub off on him, surely he's got a good chance of being our number one after that.
There's definitely, considering what Paratici did at Juventus, where he did like to go and sign people on frees, right? Ramsey is a perfect case of this. If Sam Johnson is interested, he must be late 20s now, maybe early 30s. It's a good move for him too. Again, it'd be like kind of, almost do what Joe Hart did. I sign a 2-year deal, I sign a 3-year deal, whatever, a short-term thing. If I become first choice and I stick, then great. If not, I get an experience of playing for a massive club that will hopefully, knock, knock, be in Europe for the next number of years. He'll get opportunities just like Galini is getting now. In that case, we're not a bad option for those players. But it is going to be interesting because, like, Hugo may only stay because no big club wants him. There may not be a bigger club that will take him. I always thought PSG were a good fit, and then they went and signed Donnarumma, and so that one's out of the question. He might go home to Nice if Nice have a good season this season and they make the Champions League, which again they've got billions behind them. Then that would be probably a lovely place for him to finish his career, to go to his hometown and play for his hometown team. I don't want to see that, but if I'm Hugo, it's not a bad option. Yeah,
I'm hearing the MLS as well. I've been hearing MLS for Lloris as well. Rumours of that, which is a great time to get a great place to go and retire, isn't it?
Yeah, like we'd love to see him sign a new deal. I think everyone would, but I think Hugo probably has his eyes somewhere else. I mean, that's what I'm expecting anyway.
I think he'll sign. I think he'll sign a short-term contract. I really do.
All right, here is a question from Cody Mack.
I'm going to throw that up. Cody, much love, man.
All right, so how long do the panel think the fan base are willing to pay the prices? Well, you three pay those prices, so off you go.
Look, I'm the wrong person to ask. I pay for a season ticket and I haven't sat in it this season yet because I've been in premium every time.
So you would pay regardless, all right? Okay.
Basically, yeah. Spurs are my love. To me, it's not a choice about money. It's about the club that I love. So you could charge me £100 a game or £150 a game, which is what I'm paying anyway. I'm paying more than that anyway. And it doesn't bother me because money's not the be all and end all to me. I'm lucky. I understand that. There's not everyone could be in that same situation. And there's obviously a limit which they can get away with.
But for those of us that aren't earning 6 figures plus every year, right, which is, I assume, the rest of us, Chan, Cookie, but the three of us combined probably don't account to the same that Paul was on. But
for me, if I can afford to go and I've got the time to go, I'll go. You know, I'm a Tottenham fan. I love watching my team play. If I can afford it, I'll go. And if there's a ticket available, I'll try and buy it. That's the way I am. You know, if I don't go to the games, I'll be watching it on telly. But for me, being there and seeing the team, you can't beat that experience. And like I said, I'm a Tottenham fan through and through. So as long as I can afford it and it doesn't put me out at home financially, I'll go. That's me.
What is the price for a general ticket that you would pay? I suppose. What's the max?
At the minute, they go for about 70 quid, don't they?
You got the categories first, haven't you? It depends. We're paying to watch the other team, really.
Max,
You get charged more for
the peasant
Arsenal
seats.
than you do Burnley. So
for the peasant seats that Cookie and I probably sit in, it's about 70
behave. I'm not sitting in the North Stand. I'm not a millionaire.
But yeah, mine's the same as Cookie. As long as I can afford to go, I'll go, and it's as simple as that. I love Spurs. Like, if I can't imagine that we're that much more expensive than the other top 6 clubs, apart from the ones up north, London clubs. I can't imagine we're too much.
What are we, 15 quid more than Arsenal or something like that?
Yeah, and look how bad Arsenal are.
At the stadium.
I mean, the interesting part, we should add that Cody talks about the results that we're seeing, okay, which obviously, I mean, at home, we've lost to Chelsea in the league, but we've won every other game. So the results at home haven't been too bad, let's be honest, but the type of football has not been what fans would like to see. I mean, what many football fans would like to see. Like, for me personally, I'm never paying 70 quid to watch Spurs. I love Spurs, but I can't justify that in my head. I can't, right? 70 quid, I can do a lot more with my family than I can to go and watch Spurs for a couple of hours. It feels, to me, too much of a self-indulgent. If I go to Spurs, the one time I went, it was a midweek cup replay and put 25 quid a ticket, got to go wherever I wanted. I liked that, right? I might, like, the most I've ever paid for a football ticket was to go and watch Spurs in against Barcelona in Spain. And I paid 70 euros for that. But to me, that was a one-off, probably never going to happen again in my lifetime, because it's been 35 years since the previous game. So, like, for me, I wouldn't pay it even if we were great. So I'm almost the other side of the debate. But I think that Spurs fans, like, if they love Spurs, like Cookie and Chan seem to, they will go regardless of the result, regardless of the type of football that we play, because they love Spurs. And honestly, I don't want to hear fans saying, "Well, if we're not going to win, what's the point of going?" The point of going is to support your team. That's how I see it. That's how I've always seen it. And so it's interesting. It is a lot of money. It's a huge amount of money. But I think there are enough people.
I would prefer it to be cheaper. I think we all would.
Like I was saying, though, with the categories, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with paying extra to watch Arsenal than I do to watch Aston Villa.
Every club.
I mean, Aston Villa are better than Arsenal, so.
Yeah, but the category's been in a long time, and I get that it's everywhere and it's been in a long time. But I've never got it. I go to watch my team. I don't care who they're playing. It's about what Tottenham are doing on the pitch, So the category thing, I just never agreed with it from the start.
It's in the point that Paul made that you just right about ticket revenue not being a big percentage of the overall revenue. It's a perfect point. Like Levy, really, let's face it, if he wanted to get some goodwill with the fans, he could knock the prices down because it isn't a massive deal to him. Not really. If everything else, if we were getting all these extra events coming in, it sounds awful. Fleece them. I don't mind you fleecing them. Like NFL tickets are not cheap. Right? I mean, the most expensive ones are probably 200 quid, 250 quid. They are because it's so rare. The fact that those games don't happen very often means you can bump up the price even more. If Spurs came out and said, you know what, 50 quid max, right? Even for the good seats, hospitality is something else, right? But for the rank and file, right? Then I don't see any reason for us to be the highest in the league. I don't. I think it's a bit cheeky to always say, well, we can, so we will. But that's not going to happen. But it would be a good move for Levy if he cared about that kind of fan relationship thing. And it's not just about freezing ticket prices, but actually just bringing them down and making them simpler. Like buying a ticket for Spurs is like buying a train ticket. Like if you do it in advance, or if it's this type of game, or all the rest of it, if you buy like the Conference League, if you buy all three up front, you get two. Was it 2 for the price of 3, or 3 for the price of 2, something like that? Like it doesn't need to be that way. It can be a bit simpler, but the amount of money that it costs to go and watch Spurs it's ridiculous. But I guess it's a sign of the times a little bit.
Yeah. Can't get much for 25 quid these days.
To be fair, you pay 25 quid to go and watch Colchester United on a cold Tuesday night.
You would.
So when you put it into perspective, you see a lot more dross at Colchester United than you do at Spurs. Believe you me. I've been there on a cold Tuesday evening. You're
maybe
freezing.
not 3 weeks ago.
The food and the drink isn't as good. Absolutely nasty. But you pay it because you love it, and you love how you feel when you go and watch the football. So yeah, I'd rather pay 50-60 quid to watch Spurs than 25 quid to sit in a damp Colchester on a Tuesday night.
This is it. The club have a responsibility to try and get younger fans in, and there are parents that will pay 60-70 quid a ticket to take their kids once when they're young, and maybe do it as much as they can as time goes on. And we do have those, the cup games are genuine, and it's sad that they're always on school nights, right? So people can't really go to London and do that.
I just want to address this. So there's only 53,000 versus Villa. It felt fuller than that, actually. Lowest in the Takeover game, so some certainly aren't willing to pay. It's not really true, unfortunately. So if you look at the map of tickets, we sold nearly all the ground out. What happened is season ticket holders didn't turn up, listed their tickets on the exchange, like mine was listed on the exchange. And the tickets paid for, but couldn't recover any of the cost, and no one sat in that seat that weekend. And that was the case with most of the stadium. The difference with Spurs is a lot of clubs record their, and this is where Arsenal come in, a lot of clubs record their attendance on seats sold. Spurs actually do it on numbers through the gate. So if 10,000 people pay for a season ticket and don't turn up, the attendance will be 10,000 lower. Whereas Arsenal report that as 10,000 more. So in
the
terms
question,
of not willing to pay, it's not true. It's not true, basically. Go on, HG.
Yeah. I just think the question is, why aren't they going then, right? Is it because they're all on holiday in October? Probably not. Is it because they don't want to? They're making a point against Levy, or the point against Nuno, or point against football? Then that's something that is worth taking into consideration. Why are these people not going? That's something that we need to find out. And obviously, we don't have the ability to do that. But that to me is an important part of it, because no one wants to see empty seats. We all want to see Spurs sold out every week with good football, but even without the football, sold out every week supporting the club. That's what we want to see. And so when you see empty seats, it's there you go. Sunday games make it half of people. See, this is it. Like those are things. Thank you, Paul. Those are things that I don't consider because
petrol. Yeah, petrol.
I was banned.
Was back, I think.
I wasn't allowed to
COVID
go.
and petrol.
I offered you my seat.
Yeah, Jack, if you're watching, fuck off.
I was there, son. I was there against Aston Villa, and it was still amazing atmosphere.
Oh, it's great atmosphere in there. Great.
Yeah,
I'm going to United game.
Well, you can have my ticket for that if you want, because I can't make that. So
yeah, I've already told you I'll have my seat.
Well, you've signed it more than me. In fact, I haven't signed it yet. So there you go.
I've sat in it a lot more than you.
Yeah, a lot more than you. In fact, if I turn up in it, the people will be like, "Who are you?" Shan sits here, doesn't she? Lady Shan. Look, we've done 2 hours worth now, Nick, give or take 5 minutes. So I just want to thank you all for joining me this evening. We've had some great super chats in, some great conversation, whether it's about boxing, NFL, protests, or the general state of football as it is at the moment. What's this? Caller, why did you bother with a season ticket? I don't know, really, if I'm honest, Paul. It's a good question. I might not renew. I just want to thank all of you. Thanks, Shan.
Yeah, thanks, caller. Thanks for the seat. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for the entertainment you provide daily. We all like to laugh at you, so.
or with HG. Thanks for joining me from Austria.
Yeah, no problem. 2 hours have flown by. I can't believe it's been 2 hours. I really enjoyed tonight. Thanks for all you people who watch. And yeah.
And Gov, big up Gov.
Thanks for the burn, Shan. Cookie, thanks for joining me, mate. I know you've got a lot on at home.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. It was nice to break up the international break with a bit of Spurs talk, and enjoyed it. Good.
And we're back Friday. So we are back Friday. We've got a guy on from Newcastle Fan TV. As long as he doesn't let us down like Mike Ashley let the whole town of Newcastle down for 10 plus years. So he will be with us and you can put all your questions to him. Do join us on the socials.
And one thing.
Membership. HG.
Yeah. We are recording that pod with the Trust tomorrow night. I don't think it's going to be on YouTube. I think it will just be an audio pod. Huh?
Well, I'm debating that right now with Brendan. So,
oh, you are. Well, I know that we're recording it tomorrow, so watch out for that. Whether it's on YouTube or on other sources, but it should be a good one. And really, we'll put a post up on Facebook for your questions that we can ask the members of the Trust that will be on the show, because, obviously, as much as people may not like the Trust or may not know what they do, they are there to represent the rank and file Spurs fans. And so it's a chance, if you're not a member, just to learn a little bit and to ask them some questions. So it should be a good one.
We have got the Shan show on Wednesday as well, so we're back Wednesday. Caller.
We are back Wednesday.
We are back Wednesday.
I did not forget that. We've got the Shan show Wednesday. Look, thanks for watching wherever you are around the world. You are the Cheese Room, and ultimately we can ask the Trust anything you want. So do drop those questions to us on socials. And in the meantime, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs! I thought you were going to cut me out.